You ever see that one individual in the convenience store? The one with the crazy eyes and the mismatched socks? And you know you're going to have to pucker your butt cheeks when you have to pass by him when you need to pay at the cashier. Yeah, that's Troll Warlord. He's this funky looking homeless guy who will fight you with sticks that has rocks attached to them. So you buy your stuff and you see him grab some baby powder from his pockets, inhales it by the handful, and just goes apeshit at you for the chocolate bar and lottery tickets that you just bought. So Jarakal is part of a group called the Trolls. The males live underground with a matriarch above them. The matriarch makes sure they are fed, and the male trolls just do dumb shit all day. So you know the male trolls are just a blessing to society. When young trolls get kicked out by their parents because they got told to get a job, they get into that gang life instead and steal your delivery packages and steal the batteries from your TV remote. Now, Jarakal is not your average troll. He's got that Sigma Skibidi main character energy, and he is too difficult to be with even by troll standards. In one raid, Jarakal decided to take a big share of the spoils, and the other trolls did not like that. So they beat him up and drove him from their encampment and dapped each other up. He became so salty from the banishment that he did the one thing that made sense to him. He went back and killed the entire encampment, and on that day, he swore that he is that lone wolf Sigma male and will fuck shit up on his own. Troll Warlord is a ranged melee hybrid hero typically played in the carry role. His thing is that he attacks faster the longer he attacks the same target, and that he can switch between ranged and melee attacks. He excels in 1v1 duels and taking objectives. He also has some clear weaknesses, which are heroes with CC. Since it doesn't matter how fast he attacks, as long as he cannot hit you, it doesn't even matter. He's so angry that he cannot die for a few seconds, and he attacks faster, moves faster, and has some lifesteal while he is roided up. Berserker's Rage. Berserker's Rage allows Troll Warlord to switch from ranged and melee at will at no cost and no cooldown. When he is in melee, he has bonus movement speed, armor, and decreased base attack time. When attacking while in melee, he has a chance to ensnare his target. This ability makes Troll Warlord very flexible, especially in the laning stage. He can stay safe while getting last hits, or he can rush to smack an enemy to try for potential kills, with his chance to ensnare on hit. Since he can switch from range to melee at any time with no cost, I recommend that you weave range and melee attacks to harass and kite the enemy. Use the movement speed bonus from melee to get in range, and switch to range to harass with auto attacks, and switch back to melee to either kite away or to reposition aggressively to get more attacks in. Whirling Axis. Whirling Axis has a ranged and melee variant. The ranged variant throws axes in a cone that damages and slows. The melee variant spins axes around Troll Warlord that damages and blinds enemies that causes them a chance to miss their attacks. Both are available despite which range you are in, and whichever you choose will put you in the corresponding range. Both are pretty good at helping secure last hits. I like to use them together with auto attacks to help prevent the enemy from denying creeps. I normally do a ranged attack, and right after that, I use the ranged Whirling Axis to burst down creeps. But you can do the same thing with the melee variant. For separate usage, the ranged Whirling Axis is for harass and chase, and the melee Whirling Axis is for dueling and farming jungle creeps early on. Fervor. Fervor is a passive that allows Troll Warlord to get stacks of Fervor that increase his attack speed depending on how many stacks you have. You get Fervor stacks as long as you keep hitting the same target. If he switches target, the stacks are gone. This is pretty straightforward and what makes Troll Warlord a menace with 1v1 duels and taking objectives. The more you attack, the faster you deal your damage, proc your ensnare, items, and the more you look like that cracked out homeless person by the convenience store. This is why we play Troll Warlord. Battle Trance is an ability that causes Troll Warlord to be so whacked out that he refuses to die. You will lose control of Troll Warlord and he will chase down and PP touch the closest enemy unit, and heroes are prioritized. You still have access to your skills and can use your items. Any damage will not kill him, and he gains additional attack speed, movement speed, and lifesteal. It also applies a basic dispel. For a few seconds, you're a fucking junkie that kills anything he touches. The additional attack and movement speed helps in closing the gap, and don't don't be afraid to use it even if you still have a lot of health, since it has a low cooldown and you can use it to just close the distance when needed. Be careful when using this skill, however, as this can lead you to your death. If your target is able to run away from you, since you are forced to chase down your target, you could be brought somewhere you don't want to be at, or you might even chase down a target that you did not mean to attack. Shard and Scepter. Shard increases the max amount of fervor stacks you can have and has a chance to proc a ranged attack to an additional target per hit. The chance is increased based on the amount of fervor stacks you have. This is an overall DPS increase and helps spread damage when in team fights. This also improves Troll's farming capabilities. You want this. Scepter causes the range variant of Whirling Axis to dispel enemies and reduce the cooldown and the mana cost. It also causes the melee Whirling Axis to give yourself a dispel. I love getting Scepter because people will get items to counter your damage, such as Ghost Scepter and Glimmer Cape. Scepter lets them know that you need to get that shit out of here, and you're gonna take this long, hard You want this item if you need to dispel people or yourself. For runes, I recommend that you play safe since you don't have much catch. Sure, you have the slow from Whirling Axis and maybe the ensnare if you go for Berserker's Rage level 1, but it's inconsistent. But I don't think it's enough to warrant being aggressive for runes. Just help out teammates if they happen to have someone out of position. In the laning phase, just focus on getting last hits. Take advantage of the fact that you can swap from range to melee and vice versa. Use the melee to position yourself, then use your ranged attacks to secure last hits or to hit enemy heroes. Use Whirling Axis also to secure last hits and to harass as well. But in general, you're not scary in the early game. Keep safe and just get last hits. Only really consider kills if you have the right lane partner or if you have ult. The additional armor from melee and the built-in fast attack speed helps with taking jungle creeps, so make sure to take advantage of that also. And if you can push towers, go for it. In the mid game, you're starting to get scary, but you're still vulnerable to falling behind if you get caught out of position. Make sure to keep your farm up and push towers when it's safe. If you have BKB at this point, which I think you should, you can be more aggressive, especially in team fights. But if you're in a 1v1, then 9 times out of 10, I think you'll be fine and be able to secure the kill, but be sure that it's safe to take the fight. In the late game, Troll Warlord is at his scariest. He can kill fast and push fast. You're not immortal, however. Even though you have your ult, you can still be killed if the enemy kites you well, and if they do that while your ult is up, then that's pretty much a death sentence. Just play safe and stay with your team and capitalize on setups made by your teammates. For leveling Troll Warlord, I find that he can be flexible for what you need, but it boils down to 2 builds, either maxing out Berserker's Rage or Whirling Axis first. Maxing out Berserker's Rage first will make you tankier due to its increased armor and will make you better at taking fights. Maxing out Whirling Axis first leads to a more aggressive Troll Warlord, which lets him last hit easier and improves overall farming, especially in the jungle. It also leads to a burstier Troll Warlord in the early game against enemy heroes. I don't think you would ever max out Fervor first, as this gives no utility outside of hitting targets. You won't have much items and your damage is pretty meh in the early game, so I think either maxing out Berserker's Rage or Whirling Axis first makes more sense. For the first 3 levels, I will always go for Whirling Axis first for consistency. You can go Berserker's Rage first, assuming you and your team agree to be aggressive and try for first bloods, since you have a chance to ensnare, but there's a chance that you may not even get that ensnare. With Whirling Axis, at least you're guaranteed a slow and some burst, so I prefer Whirling Axis first level 1. Next, I'd go Berserker's Rage for the range swapping and Fervor for level 3. Then, this is where the build can diverge. Just to get you started though, I think I would recommend you maxing out Whirling Axis first, then Berserker's Rage, Fervor, and max out ult whenever you can. After Whirling Axis, if you think you're strong enough to fight already, you can alternate leveling between Berserker's Rage and Fervor to improve your fighting capabilities against heroes. You can do the same thing if you max out Berserker's Rage first by alternating Whirling Axis and Fervor. Here are the items I'd start with depending if I'm expecting spellcasting or not. Then, here are the items after in order. I would start out with Phase Boots for the damage, armor, and increased movement speed to chase down targets. Next, I would get Maelstrom since you already have a lot of attack speed. Proccing this is going to be good. And this also helps with your farm. Next, get BKB. You cannot really do shit in a fight if you don't have BKB. The weakness of Troll is CC, it can be easily kited, especially when he has his ult activated. The enemy team just has to CC you long enough to run the time of your ult. So you just wasted your ult and you brought shame to your family and to your cow. So make sure to prioritize this before getting into any big fights. Next, get Shard for the increased DPS through its increased fervor stacks and the chance for an additional ranged attack. Next, I think Troll should have some survivability to maximize his effectiveness, especially in the late game. There are two options I like going for this, and it's either going Heart or Satanic. If your concern for the match is being CC'd and bursted down, I think Heart is the way to go, and it's what I typically go for. I also like getting Heart as it makes taking towers easier as it lets you take tower hits. If your concerns are sustained fights and not as much CC, then this is when you'll get Satanic. This kind of works as a mini battle trance due to the lifesteal you'll be getting from Satanic. After that, build how you see fit. Here are some examples to get after the mentioned items. Now, let's get into a game and see if we can do well with Troll Warlord.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Wait, are we in mega kill territory here? Let me check. Cradle bodies, you covered in blood, big smile on your big dumb face. Oh, this is it.
Brother,
Huh? Surprise, motherfucker!
Double kill. I'm watching a kill spree. Greg, are you seeing this?
Have you ever experienced the almighty three shield beating?